Welcome. I'm glad you're here today. I wanted to speak a little bit about my own experiences as a South Asian woman, as an Eastern woman who went the path of spirituality and psychology, and how that connects really for the unique needs of women whose roots are in the East. And really, I'm thinking specifically about South Asian, Middle Eastern roots. And the reason for that is that there is a lot of similarities in terms of the richness of women traditionally in those cultures, and also the projections that women from those cultures receive. Women from our cultures, really, that receive. So, I started my journey more than 20 years ago at this point, and I went through a lot of different I went to a lot of different teachers and teachings and places to try to find some relief, I would say, and to grow spiritually. And I went to teachings that were from Eastern teachers, really. And I went to teachings that were from Western teachers. I was looking for something that the Eastern to go to my my roots. I went to Western teachings because I really wanted more psychological. I'm a blend. I'm East-West. I wanted to be met. And so I went to a lot of different teachings and teachers. And one of the things that I realized over time, or didn't realize actually, I'd like to say I actually didn't realize this, is that as I went to these different teachings, what was not happening was I was not met. I was not seen, and I was not acknowledged. I was not in modern day times, in today, when we go to traditional teachings, we get teachings. They're beautiful. There's a lot of practices, there's a lot of teachings. Really, there's a lot of richness in the tradition. But it didn't meet certain parts of me as a woman today who is living in a culture that is infiltrated by the West. And what I mean by that is not just women who live in the West that are living in a culture that's been infiltrated by the West, but women in the East are also living in a culture that has been infiltrated by the West. So there's something that was really missing that part of me. I went to Western teachers. I was like, great, we can integrate psychology and spirituality here. This is great. They have more psychological kind of part of the spiritual practices, that they speak to the psychological more. And I was like, oh, great. I didn't recognize they weren't speaking to my psychology. They weren't speaking to my body. They weren't speaking to me. Yes, some parts of me were being met, But what I didn't realize is that taking all of these steps, even though they were really helpful for me, they were really beneficial, there's a lot of growth that happened. I'm grateful for all the teachings that I received. But somewhere, I can't put this in any other way, the richness of the inheritance from my roots were leaking, because that part wasn't met. That part and that part is what women from the East, or have roots in the East, are being disenfranchised from in these days. We have been disenfranchised as Western culture has infiltrated the world. We have been leaking away the richness of the inheritance of our roots. Our inheritance, it's ours, being leaked away. It's done through a process of projections. We have our hurts, we have our wounds, because we've experienced hurts and wounds. There's no people on this planet who haven't, who haven't experienced hurts and wounds. And I'm not idealizing what happened. I'm not idealizing the culture as in everything was amazing, but there was richness. And the generations before us, they were more connected to their richness. Maybe they didn't develop their egos in the way that we develop our egos now, right? Maybe there was issues on that level. Maybe there was a lot of issues on that level. Particularly maybe even towards women, right? Yet there was, and there still is, preservation of feminine richness in those cultures. So what happens when our own inheritance is leaked? What happens when that leaks and we experience less and less of it? So one thing is that what happens is that we can feel a profound sense of homelessness. There's something about feeling not belonging. Our bodies, the structure of our bodies is changed. They're not really our bodies when we leak the richness. It's an embodied experience. Our bodies feel different. We could have psychological stuff. We're having a really difficult time in our lives, and we can't put our finger on it. Like, what is happening? There's something wrong with me, because I'm struggling in my relationships. I'm struggling with depression. I'm struggling with going to work. I'm struggling in different parts of my life. There's something wrong with me. Why can't I do what everybody else is doing? We could feel like we can't even put a finger on it, but there's something, we can be doing quite well in our lives. We're going to work, we have relationships, we have friendships, but there's something that's not quite right. We're seeking spiritual growth, and we experience it, and yet we're not, something's like, still, like, we're not landing. It feels like other people are landing, but we're not. These are some of the ways that being disenfranchised from our roots, from the richness of our roots, can affect us. It's not always psychological, but it can be. It could be physical. It could be just a yearning in us that doesn't go away. And I know that sometimes what we do is we go to the familiarity of our culture. We go to cultural events. We make friends from our own culture. We wear cultural clothes. We do different things to get that sense of feeling of home. And it's like essential, really. Sometimes it can be so essential for us. And yet, it's like trickles. We're still starved. Why? Why are we still starved? It's because we're going to places where there's only trickles. Only trickles there too. The people that we're interacting with are as disenfranchised as we are. They don't have a lot more to offer us. We can meet in that place, we can connect in that place, but there's something still missing. And nobody is telling us that's what's missing. No one is acknowledging it. No one is speaking about what is happening to women whose roots are in the East, Eastern women. And how it's just, we're bearing it. So, what to do? Really, what to do? We need each other. We really need each other. We need a community of women who are, as we are, have the inheritance, whether it is locked away somewhere in our bodies, or or we actually feel it, but we actually feel it, which would be incredible. But we need those spaces. We need spaces where we can have conscious, reawakening of our essence, of our richness, of our beauty, of our preciousness. And we need it in this world where constantly it's being leaked away. We need to reclaim. We need to come home in our bodies. We need to come home to ourselves. It doesn't mean having to wear clothes from your tradition. That's not, it's an internal process. It's an internal refilling. in conscious spaces. The way that I understand it is that we connect to our bodies, we connect to our hearts, we connect to our feelings, we connect to our minds, we connect to everything. We connect deeply, we connect to our wombs. We connect together. So if you don't have a space, which I don't know how many there are out there, I think there might be some, but if you don't have the space where there's consciousness and a deliberate effort to return, like a meditation group, a chanting group, I don't know, a group that is made for us. Please feel free to reach out to me. I feel called to support us to return, to reclaim, to be home. I feel like the world needs that from us. Because it's not just for ourselves. It will not just be for ourselves. It is for the benefit of all beings. Thank you so much for joining me. I would love to hear about your journey, about your thoughts, your feelings about this video, what it touched in you, what it evoked in you, what reaction you may have had. I would love to hear from you.